I will give it a second to see if I am indeed live or not. So far, I cannot see myself, but yeah, I should be live right now. All right. Fantastic. Can everybody tell me how the sound is? If everything is okay, I don't want to start without you hearing me like last time. Give me a quick feedback. In fact, I can quickly check that myself. Right now. Okay, right. Wonderful. Well, it works. Good morning, everybody. This is the Apostate Prophet. Good morning, good day, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. If you are here in America or on some other weird part of the planet that no one is interested in. Just kidding. Good morning. So, another week. Another weekend passed. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm feeling quite well. I am again in one of those mornings where I have to deal with setting up my streaming system. It is really a pain in the butt. How there is a huge lack of streaming software out there to actually make these streams possible. You can't believe it. Many of the people who actually make these professional streams still use gaming software, like software that was made to stream games. They use that kind of stuff to make their professional YouTube live streams. So it's really interesting how this industry, this sector is so suffering. All right, I see all your comments. In this live chat, I will not be able to put any comments on the screen, but I will see you. I will respond to all questions. I will always prefer super chats, of course, because people pay for that, and also because they support the channel. And I will also see the highlighted questions and comments by all my beloved dear members. If you have not yet become a member, you can become a member right down there through the join button. If you want to become a Patreon and have questions submitted in advance so I can talk about them as the main topic here in these weekly chats, you can become a Patreon through the description. And if you really like to tell people to stay away from Islam, then you can also get this cup, which you can find right there in the description. Anyways, hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is doing fine. So over the weekend, I've been thinking for quite a while about the Islamic hell system, the Islamic reward and punishment system, and I've been talking with my wife about that. I don't know. I will not say that my wife is probably getting sick of me because of that, but often I just sit down and I have these thoughts and I talk to my wife about them, about how Islam is so awful. And not just about that. Our relationship that doesn't consist of me just going and saying, "Hey, Islam is awful because of this and this." I just do that because she's very good as a speaking partner in that regard. But I was thinking about the whole hell system in Islam and about how it affects me and it affects others in general. And there is also a pattern that I see online, often by Muslim apologists. Very often, you can see that Muslim apologists answer questions from Muslims online, and they approach issues such as wife beating or child marriage or homosexuality, all these things, just by saying, well, it is haram or it is halal. For example, there is a great turbulence currently going on. Some modern liberal Muslims, some pop Muslims in the West, keep talking about how they are Muslims and they are proud to be Muslims, but that we should also not have a problem with feminism and with homosexuals and with all these new rights and all that stuff. And then there is this usually male dominant traditionalist Muslim perspective that goes against them and says, well, you are doing something wrong, you are heretics, because it doesn't matter whether we should allow homosexuality or we should ban child marriage or we should ban wife beating or we should support feminism or this or that. I'm not talking about whether you support these positions or not. I'm just talking about these things as a fact. And these traditionalist Muslim apologists then say it doesn't matter what you think about it. What matters is what Allah thinks about it, or what Muhammad said about it, what Islamic scripture says about it. It doesn't matter whether you are in favor of giving people rights and making people happier and better, whether something is, as you can see it, good or bad. What matters is what Allah and His Prophet have said about it. If Allah and His Prophet have said that something is haram, then it is haram. Then it's bad. It's wrong. It doesn't matter at all anything, whatever you think beyond that. If they said about something that it is halal, then it is halal, then it is okay, then it is right. When it comes to other matters, that's how Islamic scholarship, how Islamic apologetics usually go. It is, people don't look at what something actually does. They look at whether it is allowed or not. That is usually the question that people have. The regular Muslim people so often ask their authorities these questions: is this allowed? Is this allowed? Is that banned? What about this? What about that? And then the responses are, well, that is haram, that is halal, and about that nothing has been said, so we can assume that it's okay. This is the criteria. And that is based upon if you do something that is halal, then or if you do something that is good, then you can go to heaven. You can be rewarded and you can be loved by Allah and His Prophet. And if you do something that is haram, then you will be punished in hell for that. So what this Islamic system of reward and punishment teaches is not that you should be good, because you should help people because that makes them happy, because Allah loves goodness, because goodness is good, because that will improve your society and make you better people and make you make you able to live better together. The focus is not on that. The focus on did I just send a bubble here? I don't know. When it comes to bad things, the focus is not that something that is bad because it harms people, because it harms society, because it harms you, because of this or that. The focus is it is haram and you will burn in hell. So in Islam, you don't actually learn to be a good person or to be a bad person. In Islam, you just learn to pursue your own benefit in the ultimate hereafter. You learn to do good because you want to be rewarded. You learn to not to do bad stuff because you don't want to be tortured in hell. You don't want to be punished by your master. Islam is actually like a relationship between a strict trainer and an animal, a strict trainer and a dog. I'm not saying that this is how a relationship between pet and human should go, that you reward and punish your dog for every single thing and that you severely punish them. But this is basically what it can be compared to. In Islam, you are basically, as a believer, you are the animal that needs to be taught with reward and punishment, and Allah is your owner, who doesn't tell you the reasonings behind what is good and bad. I know some Muslims will come and say, well, this specific part of the Quran says this is good for you because whatever, but those are trivial matters. These are exceptions. In general, the Islam's system is you need to do a good deed because you will be rewarded for that by Muhammad and Allah, and you should abstain from a bad sin because you will be punished for that and burned in hell. It is not like not like other systems, not like other beliefs, not like other religions. It is not like Christianity, where you learn to be good because being good is good, because Jesus loves good, because Jesus was good, because God is good. That's not what you learn. You don't learn to spread goodness and to prevent evil because no one likes evil and all that stuff. The focus is not on the concept of good and evil. It's not like in Hinduism, for example, or in Buddhism, or in other systems alike. like, where you learn that you need to be good to improve the cycle of good and avoid evil, to lessen evil in the world, and you need to be good to each other in order to make society better and avoid evil, so that people don't fall into corruption and evil. It is not like those systems. It is not like our modern understanding of what is right and wrong. In modern times, in secular systems, it is we have this understanding of what is good is based on what is good for the society, for people, for others, for yourself, and what is bad is what is bad for yourself and for the society, for others, for this little child outside, for this old woman, for that old man, or for your neighbor, whatever. We learn that torture is bad because it is bad, because it harms people and it harms the consciousness of the society. We learn this in social psychology. We learn that slavery is bad because it goes into an endless cycle of hate and revenge and suppression and whatever. We learn to embrace the reality that we as humans are equal, and we should help each other, and we should be good to each other and look out for each other and do good and prevent suffering. We do things based on reason in modern times, for example, in our secular systems. Islam is different from all of these systems. Islam is different from Christianity's good and evil, from the Eastern dharmic system of good and evil. It is different from the secular system of what is good and what is right and what is wrong. In Islam, everything is mainly based on what is halal and haram. The reason doesn't matter. This is something that Islamic scholars say very often, what Islamic apologists say very often. It doesn't matter what you think about it. What matters is whether Allah has allowed it or banned it, whether Allah likes it or dislikes it. This is what matters in Islam. It doesn't matter. Your entire reasoning, your entire research, your entire speculations, your human emotions and experience, all of that, all of your understanding of good and evil doesn't matter. What matters is whether Allah likes it or not, whether Allah allows it or not, whether Allah says it is good or Allah says it is bad, whether Allah says it is halal or haram. Quick break. Thank you all so much for being here. Please make sure to like the chat, to share the stream if you like to. I will come to your comments and to your questions very soon. I see them. I would also like to exchange more thoughts on this topic with you. I would definitely love to do that. But you get the gist. You get the idea. Islam's system is based on reward and punishment, not on actual good or evil. I compared this to a relationship between an animal that is trained and a strict trainer or a strict owner. You could also compare this to a relationship between a slave and a master. In fact, this wouldn't be quite unorthodox, even from an Islamic point of view, me saying that, because Islam itself enforces this position and teaches this position, that humans are slaves and that God is the master. Abdullah, the name Abdullah, which is very common in Islam, which is an originally, which is an Islamic name that was there from the very beginning, literally means slave of Allah or servant of Allah. So the Islamic mentality is that humans are slaves of the master Allah, and the master Allah tells you what you can and cannot do without proper reasoning, and punishes you, brutally tortures you in hell, or rewards you based on if you listen to him or not. Your reasoning doesn't really matter at all. I came to this thought because I was thinking about alcohol and about how alcohol is a sin in Islam. Drinking alcohol is a sin in Islam. And imagine, the idea is that that alcohol is a sin, and that no matter what kind of a person you are, you could be burned in hell by Allah. You could be severely tortured, given a a boiling water to drink in hell, so that your your organs start burning, whatever. That's what the Quran explicitly describes, because you committed a petty sin like drinking alcohol, for example. This is the system that Islam teaches, that that you should just look out for what is haram and what is halal, on what will reward you and what will punish you, what will bring you punishment. So, and this is where I got the idea to call this the Islamic psychopathy, because you don't learn empathy, you don't learn to be good, you don't learn to be not to be evil, because this is good, because that is evil, because of deep reasonings of what good and evil are, because you don't learn it because of that. You just learn it because you need to care for your own afterlife, because you don't want to be burnt in hell. You don't want to, you want to go to paradise, and you want to be favored and liked in paradise. It is a completely egoistic system where you are a little slave, where that is all you are, that is all you are worth, that is your value. This is Islam. This is the Islamic psychopathy. I want to talk about this even further. I would love to make a complete video about this, in which I explain this more comprehensively, more briefly, to a much larger audience, because most people watch the videos. Many people come here to attend the live chat as well, but most people watch the videos, and I would love to explain that in a well-made scripted video as well, because I think this matter is very, very important. I mean, I could just give you several examples. For example, why is eating pork banned? No one knows. There is no reasoning. Islam doesn't give you a reason. Islamic scholars now try to explain. Well, they say, well, because it is, it gives you diseases and this and that. They come up with these nonsensical answers. But Islam doesn't give you a reason. Islam just says, eating pork is haram. That's it. That's it. Alcohol. Why is alcohol banned? No reason. The Quran only says intoxicants are haram. That's it. You will now abstain from that. That's it. In fact, there is a hadith which says that Muhammad's close advisor and second Caliph Omar came to ask him about alcohol and what Allah says about alcohol, and then Allah reveals these Quran verses. For some reason, Omar prompts Allah to reveal Quran verses, a mere human, and Allah then just says, well, there is sin and there is goodness in alcohol, but there is also sin in alcohol. And then Omar comes back and says, yeah, but what does Allah really say about alcohol? And then then a Quran verse says, don't come to the prayers while you are drunk. And then he comes back and says, please give us a sufficient answer about alcohol. And then the Quran verse says, will you not abstain from drinking alcohol? And then he says, okay, I'll abstain. That is how it goes. There is no reasoning behind it. Nothing really explains why alcohol is banned, for example. It just says alcohol is banned. Abstain from alcohol. That's it. And what you learn from that is, if you drink alcohol, you will have committed a sin, and you will probably be burned in hell for that. If you abstain from alcohol, you will be pious, and you will go to heaven. That is it. It's just you're looking out for your own, for your behind. You don't want to be burned because you have committed a sin, and you want to help others and be good because you want to go to heaven. That is the system in Islam. It's really it lacks any sort of empathy. It lacks a sophisticated approach to evil and good. It is completely based on the human ego, and based on personal gain. That is all this is about. And I feel like this is very important. Muslims should understand this. Muslims should come to understand this. Non-Muslims should come to understand this, because this really shows how shallow and how awful Islam actually is. Anyways, there's so much to Islamic psychopathy. All right. Some other developments will happen. Will happen this week, which is I will most likely publish my second, my first actual Turkish video. I should make I'll probably publish a brief video in English about that as well, in which I want to explain how Turkey is changing, how Turkey's religious demographics are slowly changing, and how Turkey is quite a tough place for atheists and religious people alike. I will probably publish 2 more videos this week. This week is a big week for me. I'm also resuming my studies. I'm pursuing my studies for a degree. So from now on, I will be even busier. I will have even less time for everything. But I believe that I actually believe, ironically, that I will be more efficient as a result of this, because I always feel like when I study something, and at the same time think a lot about these matters as well, and I would come up with a lot of stuff to talk about. Okay, let me quickly check the super chats. Armchair Critic made a super chat. Thank you so much, Armchair Critic, and said a video on the Quran's linguistic inimitability. Is that even a word? I'm seriously not sure right now. Incapable of being imitated or copied. Wow. Okay. Yes. I actually thought about that quite often. I actually have it on my plan. I recently checked my list of topics that I want to talk about, and there are like I don't know, nearly 100 topics still listed that I need to go into. I should hopefully go through half of them, or maybe even more this year. I hope to do that. I want to be more efficient. Last year kind of sucked. I expected last year to be great, but then it sucked because of my personal issues. But this year I want to go through all of those topics. It should be great. We can definitely do that. Armchair Critic, thank you so much for your super chat and for your question. Akash Shodari said, didn't say anything, just made a super chat. How do you actually say that last name? I don't. How do you pronounce that? Chodari, Chodari, Chodari? I don't know. All those who speak the language can tell me in the comment section. I really don't have any idea how to pronounce it. This is something that I have been wanting to check forever, but I have never checked it. But thank you for your super chat, Akash. James SC made a super chat and said, do you think there are many people from Muslim communities who know Islam is false but still support Islam because it's their people's culture and they don't mind it, or a kind of nationalism? I surely believe so. I believe that Islam is not only a belief system. It doesn't only serve as a system to be believed in among Muslim people. You know, Muslim people are not just loyal to Islam because they think, well, of course I'm convinced by this and this is good and this is right, this is true. That's not the mere reason Muslims stick to Islam. One of the major things that you find when you go into an Islamic society, when you are part of an Islamic society, an Islamic community, is that many people in the society, in fact most people, don't really know very much about Islam. They don't know about the most basic teachings of Islam. They don't know what the Quran teaches, what Islam teaches, what it demands from them. Islamic education is very lacking and very stupid, to be very honest. And the average Muslim population has no clue about Islam. And many in that Muslim society are still loyal to Islam as an identity. They still like Islam. They still want to support Islam. But what they actually want to like and advocate for and defend is Muslim, not Islam. It is the Muslim identity, the what it is to be a Muslim. It is kind of as you say, kind of a nationalist issue, a cultural issue. The Muslims are not necessarily that fascinated by what Islam teaches. They don't really know what Islam teaches. They just go to the mosque maybe every Friday to pray together and to listen to the Imam, all the nice things that the Imam says to them. What they actually care about is that Islam is their identity, and they need to stick together and protect that identity and stay loyal to that identity. So it's some form of tribalism in essence, which which I always found terrible, to be honest. Even when I was a Muslim, I hated that. Even when I was a religious Muslim, I didn't like that, and I kind of looked down on that because I was a religious Muslim and I really cared about my religion. I really cared about practicing it and learning it and spreading it and whatever. And I looked at the general population, and the general population is just the people are just they don't know anything about it, but they think, oh, we are Muslims and I'm proud to be a Muslim. But you don't do anything that is Muslim. But you're like, I don't care. I'm proud to be a Muslim. This is my religion. This is my culture. This is me. So there is definitely a culture, identity, nationalism issue going on when it comes to Islam. And I would say it most definitely also exists among people who don't necessarily believe in all of it, but who want to stay loyal to that identity. That is, in fact, true. Some people in the comment section keep saying, drone the Ayatollah. I made some comments about the whole Iran issue last week on Twitter. We also talked here with Armin Navabi, whom I really liked as a guest. And I would, as the whole issue is still developing, I would also like to say a few words about it. There are currently protests going on in Iran. Let me know what you think about the conflict. Let me know if you think America should go to war with Iran if it comes to that, or if you think that shouldn't happen. But what I thought from the beginning was that the regime of Iran is evil. The people of Iran are very often wonderful people. I think they're. I don't want to make this segregation and this racism now, but I've always liked the people of Iran because they are very, very distinct, very nice, very friendly people. Especially, I would say, compared to the other people around them, they are probably some of the most nicest people in the region. But their regime is definitely very evil, very oppressive, and terrible. I mean, it oppresses them. The regime has just killed 1,500 people since this last November, in protests. The Iranian regime has killed 1,500 protesting people. Right now, there are protests going on again because people are protesting the fact that Iran shot down a passenger plane and then denied it for several days, and then suddenly came out and said, well, it was an accident. People are mad about that, and the protests are spreading again, and there might be bad things happening again. People might die again. I think I've even seen that people are dying. Again, people are being shot. Protesters are being shot. I believe that Iran's regime must be changed, and that the country must be secularized, and people finally, the Iranian people finally deserve a free country where they can themselves live freely, do what they want, and decide their own future. But I don't think that America should be in a position to intervene and to go and forcibly change the regime, because America has previously changed regimes and it never really ended well. So I don't think that America is in any position to do that. But let me know what you think about that. So I don't think there should be a war going on, because it wouldn't bring any good. People would suffer. Of course, yeah, the regime could change, but the regime could also change in different ways, not just by a forcibly made regime change by America. All right. But thanks so much for those questions. Thanks so much for the questions. Let me go into further super chats. If you want to contribute with super chats, I appreciate that very much. If you make a super chat, you would not only support the channel, your comment would also be preferred and seen, and I would directly respond to that before anything else. And if you want to become a member, you can have a prophet face right next to your face, and you can use these momojis. In fact, let me use momojis here. Here. You can use these dumb-looking momojis right here if you become a member on the channel. Anyways, what do people say about the whole Iran thing? Satyam Agarwal said, "Please talk about triple talaq." Yeah, it's kind of a complicated topic. Samir Ailawadi said, "Stop your nonsense." Paladin said the people of Iran would be 100% happier without Islam. I totally agree with that. I totally agree, but I think they themselves should be the ones who make that change. And if they themselves ask for help, then of course they should get the help. But I think they definitely need to make the change by themselves. Muhammad Bear said, "Apostate prophet, are you depressed because you left Islam?" No, I'm not. I'm in fact, on average, much happier. I was never this happy before I left Islam. So I am much happier without Islam. There was a phase where I was depressed after I left Islam, but that is completely expected because even when I wasn't the best Muslim, I've always based the reason of why I'm alive and the reason why I do everything on the idea that I need to, that Allah created me and Allah wants the best for me and Allah expects something from me and I need to be, I need to live for Allah and die for Allah. And I kind of try to respect Allah in every moment of my life, but then suddenly Allah is gone after I stop believing in Him, and everything suddenly falls apart. The ground that I'm standing on is suddenly gone, and that gave me some huge depression. But afterwards, a few weeks, months later, I felt so happy, and I've never felt happier. So, okay, thank you for the question. Someone says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Guys, do not believe this YouTuber. He's lying. Keep doing that. Let's see how many people you convince with that. James SC said in a... Oh, wait. Hindu Historian. Hindu Historian made a super chat and said, does Islam prohibit suicide outside jihad? There should be a system where I can show these super chats on the screen, actually. No, it just says thanks for your support. Wonderful. Well, I don't know. I don't know if this works. I hope it does, so that people can see the super chat on the screen, so that you don't have to miss them. And I can also decide how long they should stay here. Apparently, I have no idea how to even control this stuff. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure this out. Calibri, Helvetica. Helvetica doesn't even exist yet. Whatever. Okay, let's get back. Hindu Historian said in a super chat, does Islam prohibit suicide outside jihad? Judeo-Christian ban it under thou shalt not murder. My school in Hinduism says you will just face all the same problems again in your next life, etc. Does Islam prohibit suicide? It does. I believe, if I'm not wrong, I don't fully remember this, but I believe the Quran even explicitly says, "Do not kill yourselves." Correct me if I'm wrong. That's kind of what I remember. But yeah, suicide is definitely wrong in Islam, haram in Islam. And the idea, the teaching is that if you commit suicide, then you will go to hell. That's basically the idea. It is kind of it is a problematic issue. It is still a controversy, and people, many people don't really understand that, don't really want to accept that, because how could it be that just by being great and killing yourself, you would suddenly go to hell forever? That's really unfair, isn't it? But there's something on my head here. But yeah, that's still a question that people have, and I believe this is something that Islam desperately tries to answer but cannot answer. But yeah, suicide outside jihad, suicide in general, is considered haram, which is why whether suicide in war as part of jihad is allowed or not is also a completely separate discussion in Islam. Now, I don't want to make a topic about suicide in Islam, because I believe the result of that video would be that that suicide is not haram, and that there is nothing wrong with suicide. But I don't really want to deal with that, and then be here and say, dear Muslims, please, whatever. I don't even want to say it. Whatever. Let's just get over it. Thank you for the question, Hindu historian. Thank you for the super chat. Suicide is terrible. Suicide is bad. And I would never ever suggest anyone to even think about it. It is not something that it is something that you can joke about if you really want to, but it has such a great impact on your life that that even if you have at some point thought of really committing suicide, and you have really convinced yourself of doing it, and you have actually you have really decided that you want to commit suicide, and maybe you have tried it, maybe you have not. Even if you haven't tried it, but you just had the conviction of doing it, it takes a toll on you, and it leaves its marks on the rest of your life in the future. You remember it, and it's something. It has a certain trauma effect, and it's not something that you can necessarily easily get away from in the future. So I would never ever even joke about encouraging people to do anything like that. Please, if you have thoughts like that, you shouldn't even wish it on your worst enemy. It's bad. It's terrible. We don't live for that. Anyways. James SC said in another super chat, do you think an obstacle to open atheism identity being embraced more is the fact that Islamists have been successful at portraying ex-Muslims as unpatriotic? For example, not on their community's side. I surely believe so. I come from Turkey, for example. I mean, I wasn't born in Turkey, but I lived in Turkey, and I am part of the... I don't think the super chat thing works on the screen. I lived in Turkey. I was part of the Turkish community, and in Turkey there is this idea that that communists are traitors to the nation and to the people. That's a very solidified, deeply rooted thing in Turkish society, and similarly, it is also said and known that communists are atheists, even if that is not always true. So what happens then is that if you are an atheist, you are also a communist. It doesn't matter whether you believe in communism or not, whether you are a complete capitalist or not. I'm an atheist, and I think communism is a very dumb idea. No offense to all the happy communists out there. We should probably review their perspectives, but. In Turkey, there is this idea that an atheist is a communist, and a communist is a traitor to the nation. So an atheist is by default bad. That really is something that is happening in the Turkish society. You say I'm an atheist, and then they go like, so you're a communist, you're a traitor, you're a terrorist. You know, that's how it can go. So there is really a huge weird stigma to that makes people not want to identify as communists. Someone said, Ali Erkoç said in Turkish, please stop bashing Turkey, you're a Turk too. First off, it doesn't matter whether I'm Turkish or not. I can still bash Turkey, but I'm not trying to bash Turkey. What I'm trying to do here is to highlight a weakness, something bad that exists within society. Turkish people and other people who are very patriotic and nationalistic often conflate these two things. They think if I voice some criticism, or if I give an example of something bad, something that can be improved in Turkish society or in any society, then this means I am bashing that society or bashing that nation. But that's not really how it works. I'm voicing this criticism because I would like that country to improve. I want that country to improve. You know, we need to voice criticism to make things better. This is how societies have improved throughout history. If you keep saying, "Oh, my nation is the greatest. My nation is the greatest. We don't do anything wrong," then you will not improve, and you are actually harming your society, not me. So you should question your motives, not mine. Anyways. But yeah, that's how it works, which is why in Turkey, more and more people who doubt Allah and who don't want to believe in religion anymore become deists, not atheists. I believe this is one of the main reasons why many Turkish youths become deists, because they don't want to openly identify as atheists, so they don't want to They don't want to. They can't completely reconcile with the idea that they are now atheists who completely reject God, and atheists are bad. That's why they want to become deists and still accept that there is a God, but that it's not Allah, or that Islam is not accurate about that. Anyways, hope that was clear. Hope that answers your question, and hope you like what I have to say. And if you don't like what I have to say, then please leave. I'm just kidding. All right, let's see. Yeah, someone else confirms what I just said. Torab Khan, who's from Turkey, says atheism equals communism in Turkey. Exactly. That's how I always experienced it. Abu Lahab said, "Grüß Gott, Apostate Prophet." That's weird. Grüß Gott. What does it literally mean? It does it mean greet God, or does it mean with God's greetings from old German? I don't know. But it's weird to see that someone with the username Abu Lahab says Grüß Gott, Apostate Prophet, which is the most German thing you could say here to greet someone. So greetings back, Abu Lahab. Grüße an Deutschland. Also, by the way, Türkiye'ye selamlar, Türklere selamlar arkadaşlar. Okay, let me go on. Thanks everyone for being here, by the way. Thanks so much for the questions. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the participation. I really appreciate all of it. Thank you all so much for even giving your time. Jennifer Costco made a super chat. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And said, no pork was during Mecca, trying to impress rabbis. Wanted recognition, acceptance as a prophet. Thoughts? Yeah. I'm trying to think about the timeline of it. But yeah, the idea is most of that is basically most of those rules that are based on rules from Christianity and Judaism are just rules that were directly adopted from previous scripture, from Judaism, from Christianity. They were views adopted from those, and I mean, what Muhammad did with that was just to kind of try to more present his own religion as an Abrahamic religion, to lure the Christians and Jews into his religion. Of course, it didn't work. Most Jews and most Christians thought, go away with that place. That's stupid, your weird religion that you have. Which is why Muhammad then suddenly switched from, we like Christians, we love Jews, to death to Christians and destroy the Jews. So it didn't really work, but yeah, that was the motive of it. He wanted to be accepted as a prophet in Abrahamic religion, in Jewish tradition, and he wanted his religion to be built on Abrahamic qualities, although it just reeks of Arab paganism. That's true, Jennifer. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Let me see. Islam is a radical ideology to capture the world, said by Shivangi Trivedi. I agree. Abu Lahab said, Apostate Prophet O Akbar. Video Jew said, Esenlikler desen daha iyi. Oh, we have a discussion about how we should greet each other in Turkish, because one of the greetings comes from Islamic tradition, and one of the greetings comes from is a more modern perspective. I'll keep that in mind. Esenlikler arkadaşlar. Back to super chats. James SC made another super chat. James SC, thank you so much for all the super chats, and thank you so much for all the questions. I really like that. James SC said, Islam is holding back Muslims. Muslims need to be shown that Islam is hindering their people and countries' development and education. Is a big reason why their countries fell behind Europe historically. Okay, that wasn't the question, but that was a nice comment that I would totally agree with. Islam is the reason Muslims are so terrible in in progress and development. It would sound weird if I had just left the sentence like that. But yeah, Islam is definitely a problem, and definitely a reason why the Muslim community hasn't been able to go further into the future and is so far behind Europe as a society. Please stop with those burning symbols. Who is that? Sing for a moment. Is practice of halal common in Islam? I will come to you. But yeah, Islam is definitely responsible for that. I also want to. I am actually going to publish a video. I could even do that today if I have the time. If I find the time for that, I wanted to publish a video on how this is one of the major reasons why this is one of the major reasons why I want to make a video. Why I want to make a Turkish channel and inform Turks about what they don't know about Islam, because I want to tell Turkish people that Islam is the reason they don't that they are this way. That without Islam they could be part of the Islamic no, that they could without Islam they could be part of the European community that they always be a part of, always want to be a part of. I can't speak anymore. I don't know what's happening. Turks always have this thing, like they want to see themselves as Muslims, but they also want to be part of Europe, which is why they keep saying, "Oh, Turkey is Europe, Turkey is Europe." That's a very big meme discussion online. And in order to be part of Europe, they should let go of Islam, because Islam is what holds them back. And without Islam, they could be so much better. But anyways, stay away from Islam. Okay, we're not done. I totally agree with you, James SC. Thank you. Gulid Ali made a super chat, and I appreciate that very much, Gulid Ali. No question attached, no comment attached. All right, wonderful. I have a little bit more time. I will be a little bit more. I will be here for a little more while. But now, Homeless said, "How depressing is it to be Muslim and have a name that literally means servant, slave?" I know. The thing is, you don't think about that. As mentioned earlier, the name Abdullah literally means servant of Allah or a slave of Allah. Abd means servant or slave, and Allah is of Allah. And if you are a Muslim, you are an Abdullah, even if you are not literally named Abdullah. So you are a servant of Allah, a slave of Allah, and your entire existence is based on the notion that Allah is your big master, and you are his slave, and you will do whatever he says, and abstain from and not do whatever he tells you to abstain from, and you do that because you don't want to be punished by your master, by your slave master, who is Allah. You are a slave, and you want to be a good slave. You want to be liked by your master. That is the entire idea of Islam. So it is really pathetic, and you don't think about that. You think that is something honorable and something great when you are a Muslim. You only realize how truly messed up that is when you leave Islam. Some people probably also realize how messed up that is when they are still Muslims, but it really the enlightenment comes from realizing that Allah is not real, and then you think, what the hell, man? I'm not a slave to Allah. My entire existence doesn't consist of being good just because I want to go to heaven, and not doing something bad like eating pork or drinking alcohol or peeing on myself because I don't want to burn in hell. You know, that is messed up. It's messed up. That is okay, I'm just kidding. Explosive X made a super chat and said, "Have you ever read Shadow of the Sword by Tom Holland? It challenges the historical roots of Islam according to Muslims." I have personally not read that book. In the Shadow of the Sword is a history book charting the origins of Islam. The author Tom Holland had previously written 2 works on ancient history. This is from Wikipedia. No, I think I've heard of this before. I haven't had a look. I haven't looked at it. I've heard of Islam: The Untold Story from this. Yes, okay, that's the same person. No, I haven't read it. I haven't properly heard of it. I might have a look at it. I'm not a traditional reader. I guess that has to do with the fact that I'm a very hyperactive person. I don't know. I used to read a lot of books like 10 years ago or so, but after a while, I just started not completely reading books. I have this thing where I get a book and then I look into it, I read, and then at some point I start jumping back and forth and going at specific places of the book that I find that in order to get the complete the idea of it and to understand it better and go back and forth. And in the end, I don't finish it. It's like I bite around it and then I think, okay, I'm done. I got it, you know. and then I just leave it there. That's how I read books. You might call it pretty inefficient, but this is what we do. Okay, but thanks for the super chat, Explosive X. Aaron Ishik just became a member and became a prophet and has now a prophet face next to his face. That is fantastic. Aaron Ishik, thank you so much and welcome to the Prophet Club. You are now officially a prophet. I know they told you that Muhammad was the last prophet, but you didn't believe them, and you just joined and became a member of this YouTube channel and are now officially considered a prophet, because this is what members of this channel are called. They are called prophets. They say, screw that, Muhammad is not the final prophet. I am also a prophet, and I'm really proud of gathering as many prophets as I can here on this channel. That is wonderful. Hoş geldin Eren Işık. Thank you so much for joining. To have a Turkish prophet here is also good. Of course, I'm the leader of the Turkish prophets. Has to be. Rishi Kashyap said, made a super chat and said, "Hey, apostate prophet, does Islam has an assimilation problem? If so, would you do an elaborate video on it?" You mean that Islam prevents the integration of people into different societies, or that Islam assimilates other cultures? If so, both. Yes, most definitely. I think Islam has extremely strong traditions. And many people who are opponents of Islam point this out too. I think Islam is one of the strongest religions out there when it comes to traditions, which of course doesn't mean that Islam is good. It means that Islam has very strong traditions, and and Islam doesn't get those strong traditions by being good and by being a fulfilling and wonderful religion. It gets that by having very strict rules, by having a slave master problem, by being so hostile. And that definitely prevents Muslims from properly becoming part of cultures, from cultures coexisting. It certainly does have that problem. If you want to elaborate on that further, I would love to actually make a note of that and talk about that further in detail. Aaron Ishik, who just became a member, said, "I live in California and I would love to meet up." That's actually a nice idea. I would totally. I thought you were from Turkey. That's nice. That's nice. Sure, definitely. I live in America too. I'm far from California though. I'm more to the north, east. Could be done. Contact me. All right. Alexander Dahl said, I didn't say Alexa. Alexa was almost reacting here. No, Alexa, I didn't say Alexa. Shut up. Okay. Alexander Dahl said, in a super chat, make that Turkish channel. I can't stop waiting. I actually did make that Turkish channel. For all those who have not seen it, who have missed it, I can post the link to the Turkish channel right here. I have also even published my first video on the Turkish channel, which is an intro video more. But I will probably post my first actual topical Turkish video later this week. I hope so. That is the plan. I've just posted it in the comment section. It will also be probably in the description later. I can edit that in. But the channel is available, Alexander. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Right, let me go through some regular comments. And Ender Yilmaz just became a member. Another Turkish prophet. That is awesome. Hoş geldin Ender. Thank you so much for becoming a member, for becoming a prophet. I appreciate that. Thank you a lot. Thanks for joining the club. Okay. Love Dove said, "Why didn't I get a reminder and alert that you are live?" I wouldn't say that YouTube is deliberately preventing my channel from sending notifications, but YouTube has always been known for having these problems where notifications don't properly go out. So it might be just that something went wrong there. But I believe I have a second account where I'm subscribed to my YouTube account just to see how notifications and everything looks from the outside. And I actually didn't receive any notification. Okay. I will tell YouTube about that. That is interesting. Let me know, everyone else, if you got notifications. I don't see. I haven't. I have personally not received a notification that I went live. So weird. Well, if we have 800 people watching despite that, then it's still good. So awesome. But next time I will hopefully plan it further in advance so that everyone can be here on time. Explosive X said in a super chat, Tom Holland has a talk on YouTube about it too. I will check that out, Explosive X. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thanks for your advice. Tom Holland. I'm making a note of it. I'll check that out. Okay. Quantum Cosmos QC said in a super chat, do you think that Muslim community can be changed through mere words without any force ever, as they don't have any conscience beyond Islam? I wouldn't say that. I would say that many Muslims are really leaving Islam. And I would say that Muslims are also changing. In fact, I would say that Islam is changing. I would even like to make a video about how Islam is changing. Islam is definitely going to a different direction with our development, and that is also part of Islam dying slowly. So Islam is definitely changing. Muslim communities are changing. I didn't realize that I was so low on the screen. I look like a little child. Islam is changing. Muslims are changing, and many people are leaving Islam. So that is definitely a fact. Alrighty. I should be here for 2 more minutes and then I will be gone. I never want to make this longer than an hour. And we have currently 56 minutes. We're currently 56 minutes in. Okay, I talked about the Islamic system of a lack of empathy and of hell and heaven. That is at the beginning of this live chat. You can rewatch it if you want to after this. I'll go to some more comments and then I will say goodbye and probably post another video today. Shivangi Trivedi said the Quran is the root of terrorism. Candy Tower said, can everyone please stop commenting for 1 minute so AP can see my comments, please? Candy Towers, now I've seen your comment, but I don't know which comment you want me to see. I've seen your comment. Thank you for being here, Candy Towers. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Thank you. John Gable said, Apostate Prophet, can you shout Takbir? Do you want me to shout Takbir or do you want me to shout Allahu Akbar? I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want people around here to hear me and to become paranoid about what's going on here. Carrie Ann, who is a member, said, bye AP. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, Carrie Ann. I appreciate that. Sagar Manu said, you are Turk. Yeah, I am ethnically a Turk. That is true. Ayush Agrawal said, hey AP, I just want to ask you about what's the future of Islam. The future of Islam is that within 200 years, Islam will have lost much of its believing audience, population, and Islam will die. The end of Islam is coming. It will not be in my lifetime, sadly, but the end of Islam is coming. And as a prophet, I am completely confident in that, of course, and completely sure. So you shouldn't be in any position to question what I'm saying about this at all. Hitash Harithas said, why did you remove India objection to Islam video? I explained that before. It's because the comment section was very turbulent and I really couldn't take the heat in the comment section and the sentiments that were going there, because that's really I didn't want people to say words of violence and threaten violence against each other. That's not what I want these videos to be about. That's why I removed that video. I will probably put that back in the future without comments. Ender Yilma said, it says I can't even make super chat. I see super chats right here. I don't know. It might be your device. You should check that out. Ender. Okay. 1 hour is almost full. I need to go before it's 1 hour. I need to stay under an hour. Joseph M said, "No, AP, you are German." I know. I'm also a German. I'm a Turk born in Germany, and that is it. Love Dove made a super chat of $10. Thank you, Love Dove. That is a perfect ending to this. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your participation. I appreciate all of you being here. I will see you again in the next weekly Apostate next Monday. And have a fantastic day, and stay away from Islam, everybody.